This video is for house owners who value high-quality air in their homes.
Hi, I'm Daniel of Daniel Clarke Architect. This video is for anybody planning to build a new house or is interested in renovating and really wants to improve the quality of the indoor air. I'm going to explain to you what the relatively simple solution is to a lot of indoor problems. Most people presume that the air they breathe in their home is clean, but you'd be surprised there are literally hundreds of harmful chemicals and biological contaminants in your home. The quality of the indoor air is critical to both health and comfort. A variety of acute or chronic or even seasonal issues, respiratory problems could be partly or wholly result of poor indoor air quality. Poor indoor air quality leads to headaches, trouble concentrating, respiratory issues, ears, nose, and throat irritation, watery eyes, coughing fits, sneezing, and dizziness. Poor indoor air quality is the result of the accumulation of indoor air contaminants from a variety of sources. Proper ventilation, however, solves this and prevents that accumulation. Proper ventilation is the appropriate amount of fresh air that is brought into your house and exhausted, taking with it all of those contaminants. Some people can become sensitized to different contaminants. Serious health problems resulting from poor indoor air quality could present themselves not until much later in life. For example, asbestos and radon caused cancer only after years of exposure. So just how toxic is the air in your home? The list of indoor chemical pollutants is staggering. Chemical pollutants include vapors from paints, even if they're dried, solvents, nail polish remover, makeup remover, personal hygiene products, all-purpose cleaners, laundry cleaners, benzene and acetaldehyde, formaldehyde from cabinetry or tobacco smoke, deodorizers, disinfectants, gas stoves and other natural gas-fired appliances such as hot water heaters and furnaces give off nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, even when they're turned off. And when they're turned on, you'll have soot, acrolein, hydrogen cyanide, and other volatile organic compounds. You may be surprised, scented candles, their emissions are very similar to that of diesel fuel and include alkenes, acetone, benzene, toluene, and other volatile organic compounds. Laundry, carpets, fabric, foam, upholstery, cushions, mattresses, pillows, blankets, all of these give off microparticles, microplastics themselves, which are hazard, but also give rise to dust mites, which give off allergens. Microparticles are also abraded off of high-touch surfaces such as light switches, doorknobs, and other cabinetry handles. There's a radioactive gas called radon that occurs in most parts of BC. It's odorless. It comes from the breakdown of uranium in the soil and rock under your home, and that can accumulate in your house. So the indoor pollution also includes biological components, bioaerosols that might include bacteria, viruses, fungus, mold, pet dander, mites, and various components of dust are also floating around. Let's not forget the outdoor air pollution that has made its way in through the various gaps, cracks through the walls, the roof, the floor, around the windows, through open windows and doors. The outdoor pollution includes automobile exhaust, brake dust, tire rubber dust, exhaust from adjacent kitchens, bathrooms, laundries, microscopic insects, pollen, smoke from wildfire, or really any fire. All of that makes its way into your home and is floating around. But wait, there's more. If there's too much humidity buildup, long showers, lots of cooking without enough fresh air to dry out the surfaces, to dry out the rooms, that humidity can work its way into the wall, and that accumulation of moisture is perfect for the growth of mold. Now, what is the solution to the buildup of all of these pollutants? Just an adequate supply of fresh air. Proper ventilation is the appropriate supply of fresh air to replace all of these contaminants. That's pretty much it. So if it's a relatively simple solution, why do we have such a potentially deadly combination of chemicals and other pollutants inside the house? Well, there are a few reasons. The first is just lack of awareness. Did you realize that all of these things were floating around in your home? Well, we have a pretty terrific immune system, and the trace amounts that are roaming around generally don't cause any problems, at least not that we realize. realize. So the first is lack of awareness. The second is cost. How many people are willing to pay to run their furnace year-round, all day, every day, to provide the necessary ventilation? First off, it's going to be way too hot. Second, it doesn't make sense in the summer. And third, probably the biggest one, just the cost to run the furnace. And of course, too much ventilation from a furnace is going to dry out the air. And what if you don't have a furnace? What if you have electric baseboard heating, which most people do in the summertime? Even if you found some way of, let's say, turning off the heating component of your furnace and just ran it for ventilation, well, you're constantly losing all of that cooled air, constantly losing all of that cooling that you've paid for. So in the winter, you're paying for heat that runs right out the door. Now, what if there was a piece of equipment, a system that would allow you to provide that ventilation and still capture the heating, or let's just call it cooling for simplicity's sake, so that you're not having to pay exorbitant amounts for that fresh air? Turns out there is a piece of equipment, there is a system. The equipment is called a heat recovery ventilator, HRV. There's a slightly modified version of it called an ERV, energy recovery ventilator, but it's largely the same thing. It provides this constant stream of fresh air, but it recovers the heat, recovers the cooling by transferring 85-90% of the heat from in the wintertime, the outgoing stale air to the incoming cold fresh air, so that you're not having to constantly reheat the entire house's volume of air. Now, an HRV is about the size of 2 big suitcases sandwiched together. It runs off of 100 watts, so like a single old incandescent light bulb, and it's only about as loud as a quiet bathroom fan. A couple of key things to understand here before you run out and grab one from your local home improvement store is, number one, it is part of a system. Remember, we have to be supplying the air where we need it, so you have to run supply ducts to the rooms such as the bedrooms and the living room. And then you'll have ducts coming from other rooms such as the bathrooms and the kitchen, the mudroom, storage room, laundry room. So you have this circuit of fresh air going into the house and the stale air coming out. Now, those duct runs have to have a place to go. So that has to be planned ahead by an HVAC professional. A certified passive house designer can do this also. And it creates a very efficient system. However, the second thing you need to take into consideration is that we also have outdoor air pollution coming in through the gaps, the cracks, the joints. So you'll need to provide an airtight building envelope. That's the walls, the roof, the floor. If you went back to the 1950s and 60s, when this tighter envelope came into play with office buildings, people were developing headaches, and we called this the sick building syndrome. That's when mechanical ventilation requirements were increased. But the same thing didn't happen to residential construction. In the 80s and 90s, people were getting headaches as we tightened up the envelope, and we didn't have the same ventilation requirements brought in. You're relying really just on your range hood, your laundry exhaust, and your bathroom exhaust to pull out the air, and then fresh air mysteriously makes its way in. So the heat recovery ventilator, or energy recovery ventilator, is a way to get fresh air into your home, and it's running every day, all year. And because you're providing a constant supply of fresh air, you don't have to worry about the sick building syndrome, all of these chemicals getting to you once you tighten up that building envelope. You prevent the outdoor air pollution from making its way in. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how you can incorporate an HRV or ERV into either your current home renovation project or a new home, please get in touch with me by booking a diagnostic session from my website.